Welcome back to our Caps podcast. I am your host, Ronick. And before I introduce my special guest today, I want to invite you guys to follow us on social media, Instagram at our Caps, and like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. It will definitely help me out. And with that being said, I want to introduce my special guest today, Layne.
Good to
How
be
you
here.
doing today, brother?
Thanks. Good to meet you, man.
Likewise, brother. Likewise.
I've been following you for a while. It's good to actually meet you in person. You're super talented, man. You're very talented. Seriously.
I also want to, thank you for taking the drive down here. I know it wasn't fun, but about an hour or two getting down here.
Yeah, it's Long Beach. The Valley to Long Beach is not fun, but like I said, I got a friend out here. We're gonna hang out after this. Worth the trip. So
Dope. I wanted to just jump into if you could just tell me a little bit about what is home to Lane. What do you call home?
where or what?
What is home to you?
Home?
Yeah.
Well, home is the feeling of being around my family. Right? I have a
Yeah.
1-year-old at home now.
Okay.
So home is my girl and my 1-year-old. That's home.
Okay.
As far as home's that's a loaded question. Right now, I live out in the Valley in LA.
Yeah.
But I'm born and raised in New York.
Okay.
So it's
Ooh,
weird.
NYC.
Yeah, I've been out here for 14 years. So
Okay.
this is home,
Uh-huh.
but my heart is also part of my heart is also in New York. So when I go back, it just feels like I never left sometimes. So I'm kind of both.
Okay.
Bi-coastal.
And what part of New York are you from?
I'm born and raised in Long Island,
Okay.
but then I moved to Brooklyn. Spent about 6 years there, and then from Brooklyn, I moved out to LA.
What do you say are the pros and cons from leaving Brooklyn? You said Brooklyn and coming to LA. Like, how was that for you?
It's people ask me, do I miss New York, or like which do I like better?
Yeah.
And I always tell them the same thing. It's like they both have things that the other place does not. So LA, if I'm like when I drove out here, I'm in traffic,
Yeah.
bumper to bumper, I'm like ripping my hair out because I'm stuck in traffic. But when I'm in New York, I'm in a subway and you're packed in a subway at 100 degrees and you're sweating your ass off. So you wish you had a car. So it's like both places have things the other place does not. So that's kind of my answer there. It's just a little bit of both.
Okay. And I want to dive into creativity, right?
Yeah.
As far as being a creative guy, how do those early beginnings of becoming a creative guy kind of initiate for you?
Well, I want to make it clear first off that, and you know this,
Yeah.
I am not an artist. I
Okay.
used to draw a lot as a kid. I used
Yeah.
to sketch. I was very into it. And
Yeah.
as I got older, I just completely stopped.
Okay.
So I respect the people who do it, but I'm not artistic now. I can barely even draw like a stick figure. I'm horrible.
Okay.
But as far as creative goes, like my mind is always thinking about how I can be creative.
Definitely.
So that's what made the Clink room perfect for me. I've told Casey this before, like for people like me who
Yeah.
who didn't think they had a voice creatively,
Yeah.
because I can't draw, I just was kind of asked out.
Okay.
And then the Clink room came along and I was like, wait a second, I still can't draw, but I messaged them back in the day.
Yeah.
Back when Casey was replying. Back when
Okay.
Casey was replying 5 minutes because they didn't have a lot of followers yet.
Yeah.
They were building to where they are now.
Okay.
So Casey would reply immediately, and I said to him, "Hey man, I got so many ideas, but I cannot draw. I am not skilled like you or your other designers. I
Yeah.
am not that guy." And he's like, "Who cares, man?" He goes, "Just sketch something on a napkin, a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Just give me an idea, and then we'll go from there." And not to get too long into the story, but I went out to Michael's, the arts
Okay.
and crafts store.
Yeah.
I bought some tracing paper
Yeah.
and regular paper. And I remember I had these ideas, and I kept like Googling images of them,
Okay.
and I would trace them. I wasn't trying to steal ideas. I was just trying to give him a visual of what I
Yeah.
was picturing. So my first hat, actually, that I collaborated on
Okay.
is this one, the Executioner.
She.
Casey designed this. This
Okay.
is this is 4+ years ago. So this hat's really old.
So if y'all trying to get one out there, you're gonna have to really dig.
Yeah,
dig.
and you're going to really have to dig because it did not sell very well. They didn't have that
Okay.
many customers back
Yeah,
then.
yeah.
So there's like 50 of them out there.
Okay.
So I remember I Googled pictures of executioners, and like all these pictures came up, Halloween costumes at like
Yeah.
Spirit Halloween store,
Yeah.
all this stuff. I'm like, no. And then like I forget what the author is called, like R.L. Stein, I think it is, who did the children's books back in the day.
Okay.
I think that's the author. But she did a whole thing it was like a Goosebumps. Remember Goosebumps?
Yeah, I remember Goosebumps.
I think it was that. And they had one with an executioner on the front of a book. I was like, oh, that's a dope picture. So I printed it out and I traced it, and I put the executioner inside like of a big hat. Like
Okay.
he was standing inside of a fitted hat. It was so stupid. And I sent it to Casey. I'm like, what about this? And he's like, well, I don't like the hat. I don't like him standing in the hat.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
like, but the Clink room does not have any executioners yet. He goes, that's a dope idea. And he goes, I'm going to design it for you. And I was
Okay.
like, oh shit. So he designed that for me. He made it to the shop. I was thrilled. I pitched a couple more ideas after that. He designed a second one for me called Woofers.
Okay.
It was a dog biting a subwoofer.
Oh, that's
So
dope.
again, did not sell well.
Yeah.
I feel like nowadays it would, but it didn't sell well. And then the third time I kept coming to him for more ideas. He's like, listen, things are picking up. It's
Yeah.
too busy now, which is a good thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's like, I can't design for you anymore. I go, that sucks, but do you have any suggestions on who I should reach out to?
Yeah.
And he said, Aurelian, who's in France.
Okay.
You've seen his designs, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah,
And Jacobo in Mexico
yeah.
City.
Okay.
And I've been working with those guys and other people too, but those guys for like 4 years now.
You know, just to take a little rewind, how was that feeling to, be responded to by the guy? Because he's the guy when it comes to the Clink room.
Yeah.
Was it kind of like a thrill for you? Like, oh, I got him to talk to me?
Yeah, it was wild. Like I heard of Clink back in the day before
Yeah.
before 2.0.
Okay.
And it was I saw their hats online and I wanted to buy them, but they weren't for sale anymore, right? You have to buy them like used secondhand for like $150. They were hard to come by.
Okay.
When 2.0 came, and yeah, when like I would message and I thought I would never hear back.
Yeah.
Why would you expect someone
Yeah.
for a company to email you, to message you back? And like I said, Casey responded almost immediately. That's back when he had time. And when I didn't know who Casey was though. So
Okay.
I guess to answer your question, I thought it was cool that someone was responding to me from the Clink room, but I didn't know who Casey was until the years passed. I'm like, oh shit, this guy is
And how did you go about reaching out? Was it like via email? Or,
IG, just direct message to Clink
oh,
room.
direct message to
Yeah,
Instagram?
That was it.
Oh, wow.
But like I said, like this is when they had like 5,000 to 7,000 followers. So
Okay.
it wasn't much. He wasn't getting many messages, I'm sure.
Okay.
Now he's got 70, 80,000 followers. He doesn't have time for that. So I got lucky. And that's how my relationship with Casey started.
Okay.
So people might think a lot of people who've been around for a while have a kind of a direct line to Casey.
Yeah.
And they might not think it's fair. And I agree. But like, but I've known for Casey for so many years now.
Yeah.
And like we forged a relationship back when there wasn't a lot of followers, back when things were really slow. And I think that a lot of designers know him from that time frame too, like Jacobo and Aurelian as well.
I just want to give him a shout out for being so dedicated to his brand, right? Because it takes a certain type of individual to really put himself there and answer back. And it's important to, communicate with those that support you, right?
Casey is all about the brand for sure.
Yeah.
But he cares so much. Like,
Okay.
I'm on Facebook groups and obviously Instagram, but Facebook groups where like people will complain about anything.
Yeah.
And like in their defense, they might receive a hat and they'll take a picture of it and it's got like, it wasn't wrapped well,
Okay.
or there was no pins.
Oh, I didn't get a sticker.
No sticker. Like small shit. Like
Yeah,
people
yeah,
cares,
yeah.
but people care. So
Yeah.
immediately Clink Room will respond. So sorry about that. I messaged you. Give me your address. I'm going to send you some pins and some stickers.
Okay.
And they fix it. And if
Yeah.
something's not packaged right in the warehouse, they'll go talk to the guys in the warehouse too. They care, man.
Yeah.
They want your stuff arriving pristine and beautiful because they know how long you waited for it,
Definitely.
especially during the pandemic. That was
Yeah.
insane.
Let me ask you this, brother. As far as entering the creative world, right? Because like you mentioned, you're not an artist, but you're creative with thoughts and ideas and color waves and stuff like that. Did you ever picture yourself being creative on a hat? Like, was always the idea?
Yeah, when I was I'm older, man. I'm 45 years old.
Okay.
When I was young,
Yeah.
I always wore a lot of hats. I had like to me a lot of hats was like I had 20 hats. Right? Now I've got hundreds. But
Yeah.
like it would just be the MLB.
Okay.
Padres, Yankees, Dodgers, like the basic MLB. And they didn't really have colorways back then.
Yeah.
You just had your one hat with the white guts, no black, back in the day. And
What year are we talking?
this was probably, I don't know, let's say 91, 92, 93. It's in that time frame. That's when I had a lot of hats. And,
Sheesh, I was born in '93.
and I had a lot of minor league baseball hats. Those are some of my favorites too because their
Okay.
designs are so unique. So I had a lot of hats that I thought I had a lot of hats. And I wore the shit out of them. They were
Yeah.
like sweaty and just, I wore them.
Yeah.
And I always thought like, oh, this hat's so dope. What I wish it had silver in the logo or gold, or I wish that the logo was doing this or was doing that, and whatever. It was just thoughts I had when I was younger. And then as I got older, for a few years, I stopped collecting. I didn't have any hats. I had like 2 Yankee hats because I'm from New York,
Okay.
and that was it. And I got into it again like 5, 6, 7 years ago, and I have so many now. But again, I would buy them and I'd be like, oh, I want to buy that one, but I'm not going to buy it because why did they pick that color?
Yeah.
Or why is the logo that color? Why is he not holding like a bat or like small stuff?
Yeah, yeah.
So my mind was always working like that.
Okay.
And I always thought, yeah, I'd love to create a hat, but there's no way to do it. And then during the pandemic, I'd go on long walks every day just to get out of the house. And I was messing around on Instagram and I saw that the Clink room was coming back and they had 2.0 and I saw what their business model was that people submit. And I was like, this is crazy. And then that's when it opened up the creative floodgates again. Like,
so you knew of the Clink room prior to?
Yeah, but I knew of Clink back in the day, but they didn't have hats for purchase anymore. It was, it was like they were done with Clink 1.0. It was all like secondhand purchasing. I just had heard of them. I admired their hats from afar, but you couldn't buy them in the shop anymore.
And just to clarify for the viewers that will watch this, what is a 1.0 and what is a 2.0?
My understanding is, if I'm wrong, I apologize. Clink 1.0 was just when they were first around. Like all the hats they had, you'll see their hats online. You'll see people like Paco, and I'm sure Omar has them, like the original OG Clink room hats that came out, with the cork bottom brims and these wild, beautiful hats. Those are the hats from 1.0. And then my understanding is, and Casey, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, Clink went away for a while.
Okay.
And then they kind of came back and there was a gap in time. So these hats from 1.0, you can't just scoop them right now unless somebody has them on eBay and you're probably paying $150, $200 for a hat, which
I've seen them go for that much.
Yeah, I would not do, but some people do,
You know, as far as grabbing your couple caps right now, because you mentioned as a kid you were a cap guy. Do you have a good memory of those early beginnings of when you started to actually go out and get your caps? As a child, like do you have some type of recall of that memory, like walking into the shop?
Yeah, it was in I don't know if the store was in LA or California, but in New York it was a store called Models. It was a sports store, baseball bats, baseball gloves, fitted hats, and behind the counter they always had their fitted hats. And I remember going in, my friends wore hats, but they didn't give a shit. Like I was like, oh, look at that Padres hat, look at that Yankees hat. And I remember just going in and always wanting to try on the fitted hats. I remember that. But like I said, they were just like, I don't buy hats with white guts anymore. I hate that because the sweat lines you'll see. But back then, that's all it was. But I remember going back behind, asking to try on different hats and my collection growing. But it was like, I always remember having like a Padre hat I had, always the Yankees, always. I had a Mariners hat. I think I had a Marlins hat. So my collection would slowly grow, but there's certain hats I would never, ever touch. And because you have your rival teams, right?
Yeah.
As a Yankees fan, you would never have a Red Sox hat. I've seen some great Red Sox hats. But I'm like, I can't fuck with it. And then and Mets hats. I would never touch a Mets hat.
In LA, in my experiences, I could say that I feel like the LA Dodger fitted, it goes way far beyond just baseball, right?
Mm-hmm.
It represents
iconic.
It represents culture, family, adventures, the city. So people wear it with a lot of pride, right?
Yep.
Can you say the same for the NYC cap in New York?
I hate to say it, I'm not trying to make competition, but New York Yankees logo is the most globally recognized and renowned logo in professional sports. And people roll their eyes, but the people rolling their eyes are probably not Yankees fans. It's just the truth. I've traveled all over the world for work, and every country I go to, I see Yankees hats everywhere. I see Dodgers hats too.
Yeah.
But that's a very popular logo. But Yankees hats are, I think, in my opinion, that logo, that interlocking NY is just known globally.
And do you have a favorite type of cap? We have so many caps out there. You got Mitchell and Ness, you have New Era, and so much forward. Is there a certain type of cap that you go to?
I mean, I've got hundreds of hats right now.
Yeah.
As I mentioned to you before, I'm trying to get rid of.
Anybody needs some caps?
And most of them are not worn, man. But it's always going to be New Era. I mean, I'm a baseball guy. I grew up watching baseball. Like, when you see your favorite baseball players wearing that hat on the field, that's what you want to wear as well. And there's no one who... Mitchell and Ness is great. They have some great hats. They're never going to surpass New Era. New Era is New Era. It will never change. In our lifetimes, it will never change.
How did the... I guess you could say buying a couple caps is like, it's cool. But how did it go from a couple caps to a couple hundred to now, You got so many you haven't even had a chance to wear them.
Uh, Man, it probably, like I said, there was a gap between my being like a teenager and then like I stopped buying hats for a while. I don't really know. It was just like, I don't know, man. I would get compliments from people at work that if when I wore some hats here and
Yeah.
there, and then some of my friends at work started getting into hats. We just mess around on the New Era website, and then it turned into, oh, what's this hat club? What's this My Fizz?
Yeah.
And these sites that just kept popping up. ECAP City,
Yeah.
My Fizz right now, man. Some of the shit they do is incredible to me. That's one of my favorites right now because their design team is strong.
Okay.
Go to their site, man. Look at the stuff they do. They have these drops that sell out sometimes in minutes, but I don't know. It just kind of evolved where it was like a wormhole. Like New Era's cool. I like the hats there, but then you start evolving. What's this site? What's
Yeah.
this site? And then next thing you know, you're getting box after box coming in your house. Like, fuck. Like I got a problem here.
You're just buying and buying and
I
buying.
have a problem. Yeah.
And then you have the wife like, hey man,
Yeah.
you only got one head.
Yeah, right. You're not wearing 90% of these hats. What are you
Yeah.
doing? So I come out in a box. I make sure they look good, and I put them in a freaking those Tupperwares.
Yeah.
Slide them under my bed, and I'm like, shit, I forgot I even had some of these hats.
For anybody out there that collects, what kind of advice would you give them as far as when it comes to preserving the hat? Like how do you go about putting your caps away?
I'm weird, man. Like I'm very anal about the way my hats arrive to me
Okay.
and the way I protect my hats.
Okay.
I'm different than most. Some people don't give a shit, but we
Yeah.
were talking about it a second ago. Some people get those hats and they'll complain about the pins or the way the hat was wrapped.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm that guy. Like I won't complain unless something's wrong.
Yeah.
But there's been a time where I've had to return a hat or two because, the button was scuffed.
Okay.
Like, and most people don't care.
Yeah.
But like, if my hat's gonna be fucked up, I'm gonna fuck it up.
Yeah.
I don't want to pay $75
Yeah.
after shipping and tax to receive a hat that's fucked up. So preservation, man, is important. I actually think that this sounds really crazy, but I think that these warehouses that are shipping the hats, they probably should have their employees wearing gloves doing it too. I'm not playing, man.
White gloves.
Keep your oils off my hat. I'm serious.
Can you take me into the process of when you're coming up with an idea, maybe for the Clink room?
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, this is something I want to put on a cap. How does that procedure go for you?
It's so many different ways this goes for me. I have like right now, I'm sure a lot of, I consider myself like, again, not a designer. I'm like a concepts guy. I come up with ideas. I come up with ideas constantly. And right now at home, I have my computer. I have like a 6-page Microsoft Word doc, single space with ideas. Boom, boom, boom. And I just keep going and going and going. And like, I'll look at the list every now and then and I'll pull a couple out that I think will work and some might not work. And they're always a work in progress rather. But it's like, I could be walking my dog, man, and come up with an idea. I could be driving in the car. I could be sitting in bed having trouble falling asleep.
Yeah.
They just pop into my head randomly, my ideas. A lot of them are puns. The Hat Club has a lot of puns.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of stuff like that. But
also, you've done other hats with people outside of the Clink.
No, only Clink. Only
Okay,
Clink. It's the only platform that I know of that will let me do this. The only thing that I like about Clink more than anything is that it's, first off, it's supporting the artists, right?
Yeah.
That's all that I care about mainly. But like these designs are unique, man. You don't see this at New Era, like on their website. I mean,
Yeah.
Everybody's collecting all these hats, and everyone's got 25 Yankees hats, 25 Dodgers hats, and I have a lot of Yankees hats too.
Yeah.
But there's only so many colorways you can do after a while, man.
And to have something exclusive to be like, you know what, this is only available for a couple months.
Yeah, 1 month. That's it. You got 4 weeks. And back in the day, a few years ago, man, when I first heard of the Clink, it was 3 weeks. You had 3 weeks.
Oh wow.
Only about a year and a half ago, I think Casey can correct me, did they switch to 4 weeks in the shop? It used to be 3 weeks and you're done.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people feel some type of way because they say that the Clink takes too long to put out the hat. I believe if I'm not mistaken, anywhere from 3 to 5 months.
Yeah. Till
you receive that.
3 is fast. 3 is considered fast.
So you receive your actual product in your hand, right? What is your take on that?
I'm as frustrated as everybody else, but I'm not mad at the process. That is the process. The process is, again, if I'm wrong, I apologize. It's in the shop for a month. Okay. Okay. And then they send it off to New Era, and then New Era sends back the swap. I forget what it was. They send it back to Casey and make sure this is how the embroidery should look. Yeah. Should look. And Casey goes back and forth with them with some notes how he wants something raised, something flat.
Okay.
So that process takes time. And then when that's all approved, we have to wait for production. And New Era is going to do what New Era is going to do.
Yeah.
So
They're going to take as long as they want.
People get so mad at the Clink Room, but Casey has no say. If it was up to Casey, he would produce those hats in a week and you'd have it immediately.
Yeah.
So Casey's waiting just like we all are waiting.
Yeah.
So during the pandemic, man, people were losing their minds
because they wanted caps.
But it's crazy though, because it's a pandemic.
Yeah.
Like these warehouses are shutting down. These manufacturers are shutting down for months on end.
And you want the cap like this?
Yeah, it's like, what are you complaining about? Like, so there were some hats. Clinkers will tell you it took over a year to arrive.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and so people were canceling their orders. But again, back to the Clink Room, man. They're all about the customer. So they were offering everyone full refunds. If you want it, here's a full refund. If you want to stick with us and wait, you'll get your hat at some point. And people were calling them scrubs and saying this is a fake company. It's like, no, trust me. It's a very real company with very dope products.
And your personal opinion, right? If it wasn't a New Era cap, let's say Casey was to go and manufacture his own cap, you still think the Clinker would be as successful as it is today?
No. My personal opinion is no, because New Era is New Era. I mean, people want a New Era. They want that flag on the side of their hat, man. I mean, that says something. It's got to be New Era, man. It's what the ball players are wearing, what the football players wear on the sideline, what the hockey players are now wearing, what basketball, everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's I thought it was an interesting topic. I would see some of the comments, right, of people what they have to say about the hat, and I'm just like, hey, man, it's fair to say it's worth the wait. You get something unique. Sometimes I'll be walking around minding my own business wherever I'm at, and I get complimented from my cap. Like, hey, man, what does that mean? Or where'd you get that cap? Or, man, that's a really nice cap, right? Like the other day I was having dinner with a good friend of mine, and this guy sends his girlfriend up to me, right? And he sends his girlfriend up to me, and I'm wearing my Frenchie cap. It's the one that's what color is this?
It's not this guy, is it? The FU? No.
No, it was
There's been a lot of Frenchies.
But this one was the cap was this color. It was khaki. It was khaki with red, and he was biting like a rose.
Yeah. Okay.
And she comes up to me like, "Hey, my boyfriend sent me over here just to let you know that that's a nice cap."
why did he come over? Sent his girl.
and I was like, "Oh man, I appreciate it. Thank you." And what I do, bro, I always keep some pins and Clink Room stickers on me. So for those certain occasions, I like to, let them know about the brand.
Promote the brand.
Like, take a look. Maybe one day you could make your own hat and I could paint it. You know what I mean? So I always do that. Do you ever have those experiences out in the street while you're doing your day to day?
All right, you're gonna think this is a crazy thing I'm about to tell you. Now, I'm not lying. I'm not lying. I told you I don't wear my hats a lot.
Yeah.
This is the first Clink hat I have ever put on my head today.
Really?
And I've been doing this for over 4 years. This is it's weird, man, because I have I don't know 150 plus hats from Clink, just the Clink, not counting the rest. And a big chunk of them are hats that I came up with the concepts for that I work with designers on.
Okay.
But for whatever reason, man, when one of my concepts comes in the mail, I'm like, I don't want to fuck this hat up. I love it. So I put it aside and I keep telling myself, wear it. And I fucking never. Today is the first day because I knew I was doing this, and I'm like, I got to bend the brim. This is probably gonna go back in the case after I get home.
Yeah.
So the answer is no, because I've never worn a Clink Room until today. Clink Room hat until today. Yeah.
I go through the same thing because when I get my spray paint, right, sometimes they'll send me a special edition cans like this one. You see how this one has art all over it?
Oh, okay.
And I'll look at it and I was like, I don't want to spray it.
But can't you spray it but still save the can afterward?
But to me, it's not the same. Like to me, it's like it's used. It doesn't mean nothing no more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get
it.
That's how we get the hats, man.
So when they send them to me and they have, let's say for example, they send me 500 cans.
Yeah.
And 200 of them have art on them. I won't use them. I will just put them away, and I just like to look at them.
Souvenirs.
I just kind of
trophy. It's a trophy.
I just really admire that there's actual artwork on the can rather than it just being a solid color.
And that is dope artwork on the cans.
And it's just like, man, it's crazy. Yeah. I know right now you mentioned folding the brim. Is that something you've always done?
Yeah, I've never gone flat. I respect it. I know it's a cultural thing. It's like some people in the hat culture do it this way. Some people in the hat culture do it that way, and there's really no in between. I've always been. I was old school too. I would start with my hands back in the
Yeah.
day when I didn't care. Then as I got older, I was like, oh, that's crooked. That's not straight.
Yeah.
I would like fixate on making it perfect. I would start using rubber bands.
Oh
So I
wow.
would take not the cheap ones, the thick ones,
Yeah.
right? And I would just put them here and here on the hat. And I would just twist them and over until it was nice and tight. It would pin together, and I would have to make sure it was nice and symmetrical and perfect. And I would go to bed. The next morning, that's the way it's going to be. It's perfect.
Oh, that's crazy. I
Now,
never
now,
heard
now
of
they
that.
got devices. They got devices now. You got different things. You could steam it. You can, they got the braces you hold like that. But old school was hands, and then after that was rubber bands for me.
Yeah, because I've seen some guys that they fold it to the max. So like I
Yeah.
get it, like folding,
A little bit, right?
but
Some
these
people
guys are like
"Eh, touching,
like
yeah,
taco type
yeah.
thing.
No, I can't.
I
It
couldn't do
messes the
that.
cardboard up. I don't like it.
I wouldn't do that to
No,
my
that's
cap.
too much. It's too
If
expensive.
there's anything you could change about the new cap, the new era cap, what would you change?
Oof.
If you had the power, like they were to hit you up and be like, hey, let's change one thing, what would it be?
Just I don't think I would change anything about it. I like where the flag is. I like the flag. I
Yeah.
like their back logos for the MLB. I like it all. The only thing, and I don't know if this is a new era thing or not, but it might be. Like, just sometimes hats don't fit the same all the time. Like this hat, when I put it on today, I was
Yeah.
rushing out the door to get here. It's a little big, right? But I also know that if I took a different one of my Clink Room hats, it would probably fit perfect. So like that's the thing I know that bothers a lot of clinkers too.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes the hat's too big. You're like, fuck, man. Like, why? It's the same size as the last one, but it just depends on where it's manufactured, I guess.
It's interesting that you say that because I was having that conversation with my brother the other day.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, is it me or this one looks tight and
Yep.
this one looks loose? And he's like, I think it's just you, bro.
It's better to be tight than loose because when it's tight, you can stretch it. When it's
Yeah.
loose, you can put stuff in there, the stickers or whatever that's called, and that'll make it tighter. But yeah, I don't get it. Most of the time, it's fine. New
Yeah.
Era does it right, but sometimes you're like, fuck, this is too tight. I'm getting a headache.
Yeah, because I know some guys like to wear their caps like really big, like to where they could tuck their ears in.
That ain't me.
I've never been that
No,
guy.
me either. No way.
Me, it's just like I just like a nice, comfortable
Yeah,
fit.
they buy a hat like one size too big. I'm like, no, I'm good.
That's just not for me.
It's a style, man.
Are you does a snapback cap bring any interest to you?
So I have a lot of snapbacks, but 90% of my collection is fid.
Okay.
But like the only reason I'll have a snapback is if like I just see a design that's like too unique to pass up.
Yeah.
And in the back of my head, I'm always like, man, I wish it was a fitted. But I have a good, like, I don't know, two or three dozen snapbacks that were just, the designs were so great that I just scooped them up.
Yeah, for me, I guess when I go about grabbing a cap, I'm not so really. It doesn't really bother me, right?
Mhm.
I'm just type of, if I like the cap, I'm gonna wear it.
Yeah.
I know some guys are like fitted forever.
Yep.
Or you got some other guys that be like snapback forever. I've just never really been like that. To me,
Yeah, my preference is always going to be fit, always. But I will make it, like I said, I will make exceptions for sure.
Taking a little rewind. So you said like in 1993, you were like a teenager. So you're kind of like a 90s baby. You were raised in the 90s.
Yeah.
How would you say the evolving of the cap culture has evolved from back then to today? Like, do you see it going in a positive way?
No, it's definitely. I don't think there really was a culture back when I was growing up. It was just like they sell hats at the sports store. If you want to wear a hat to support your team, do it. It wasn't like this that I knew of.
Yeah.
Like now it's like this. The evolution in the past, and maybe I'm wrong, but like 10 years has been meteoric. Like we're talking about people camping outside of stores in New York and LA, like to buy a hat.
Yeah.
Like that's some sneakerhead shit. Right?
Yeah.
So the sneakerheads do that. We always knew that to be the case the past several years with the sneakerheads, for the raffles, just to get a chance to buy the sneakers.
Yeah.
But now it's happening with the hats, and you're like, wait a second, this is crazy how the culture has evolved to this point, man. People like asking $200, $300 for a hat on eBay is like, who would pay that? But then next thing you look at that hat again, it sold last week.
Yeah.
Like, who the fuck paid $300 for a hat? So the culture is out of control right now in a good way. It's going in the exact direction we want, especially for companies like the Clink Room.
Okay.
Because the more followers, the better. Because I'm sorry, but like the MLB hats, like I said a little while ago, it's getting, in my opinion, old.
Okay.
Like there's only so many ways you can mess with the Yankees, Dodgers, an Orioles logo. We're running out of ideas, man.
Yeah.
And there's only so many color schemes you could put together. Clink Room's not like that, man. Every week it's something different and unique that you've never seen before.
You know what? Something's interesting. Something that I find very interesting. I've seen people complaining about that though. Some people are saying that it's just too much.
The Clink.
Yeah, there's too
Mhm.
much going on as far as like color waves and
I know what you're
logos.
talking about. You're talking about because 2 years ago it was 6 hats a week, and
Yeah.
that was it, right?
Okay.
And now I assume you're talking about the fact that now we have shock drops each week,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we have colorways dropping. Honestly, I get that. They feel like it's less exclusive when you
Yeah.
have that happening. But the reality is, at the end of the day, and I hope this doesn't last for long, but Clink Room is a small business, right?
Yeah.
They're still a small business. They got to make money, man. This is me speaking for Casey, and I should not be doing this. But my assumption is
Yeah.
they just got to keep money flowing in, and people are buying the hats, and people like them. So wouldn't you do the same thing?
People got to get
Yeah,
paid.
man, I would be dropping colorways every day of the week. The way I see it, Casey and the Clink Room guys are holding back. They should be
Okay.
dropping more, you know?
There's a topic that I want to hop into, brother. That is coming to light now. Artificial AI,
Mhm.
artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
What is your take on that? You think that's really going to impact the cap culture as far as like take away from designers?
In the Clink Room is where that question should be directed 100%. Yes. A couple months ago, I don't know if you were seeing these posts, but a lot of people were talking about it.
Yeah, I seen that.
There was people submitting submissions to the Clink Room and people were saying, "Hey, that look at that thing." Just I don't have the eye for it,
Yeah.
but some designers can look at that and say that's fucking AI.
Yeah, you could tell.
I can't always tell. For me,
Okay.
I don't have the eye like that. I wish I did, but these designers knew immediately, and they would start like doing deep dives and it got pretty intense. There was some heated conversation, and I know Casey had to step in and make a post on the Clink
Yeah, I
Room
seen it.
saying, "Hey, it's a gray area. Like, who's to say we can't do this? Who's to say we can't do that?" So he kind of told everyone to chill the fuck out. He'll make he and his team will make the decision as far as what they think is
Yeah.
right and wrong, and I respected that. But AI, in my opinion, for the Clink Room purposes, for society, I think it's doing some cool stuff. For the Clink Room purposes, I'm not a fan of it. I
Okay.
think that the people I've been working with for years, man, will sit there at their computers and they will draw. And like if I work with Yakobu for freaking, I'll give a concept of mine and we'll talk about it. And we're back and forth talking. And that shit, he's not done for 4 months because he's got a family, he's got a job, he's got
Yeah.
things to do. And he's
Yeah.
got his own concepts he wants to work on. So I know, but overall, I know how many hours they put into that. So to have something AI created
Yeah.
that didn't take nearly as much time as 4 months, I have a problem with that because I know how hard these guys that I work with work, man. I have nothing but respect for them. So I'm not a huge fan of AI in the Clink universe.
You know, as an artist myself, you know, I've looked into AI because they said that was going to impact muralism to where like now we don't got to pay you to design something, right?
Mm,
We could just AI it, print vinyl and just slap it or whatever.
big sticker. Yep.
But AI still cannot manage to put a solid concept like a actual designer would. Like it could pop out some great images. Like if
Yeah.
you were to put Donkey Kong with a clean room cap drinking a beer at the beach, I'll pop it out. But if you wanted precision to where like it's nice and crispy, on my experiences, I still can't do that. Eventually, it will.
Hopefully not.
But
it's a good thing they can't yet because at that point it's gonna be a problem. But we need people at the end of the day. Yeah, it's impacting businesses and creators. But at the end of the day, I think that customers still want you showing up in their shop and being there painting. Designers sitting down and drawing and going back and forth on notes. People like that process, man. There is so much pride involved in that.
yeah,
Where I can't really see there being a lot of pride in AI at all, man. I know that Aurelian, Yakobu, Jay Matz, Josh Vols, all Flanagan, all these incredible designers, I know the level of pride they have when something hits the shop. I know that, man. And I have pride, and I barely didn't do much. I just told them what I liked, and we worked together on it. Could you imagine the pride you feel, when you see something done that you created? Man,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
To me, it's kind of like in my creative process, like when I receive my caps, certain caps kind of like speak to me. Like just by looking at them, I'll just be like, oh, this deserves to get painted.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
That's your process.
That's
yeah.
my process. So I
Yeah.
like to just look at them and just be like, damn, this one's the one. So then I'll bring it with me. I'll go to my studio and I'll get to work. I can only imagine what the designer of the actual design feels like receiving something that they drew with their own two hands and put together and imagined in their mind.
Well, I was thinking that when I saw you painting The one you wear? No, sorry. The Sierra Gons hat. This one. When I saw you painting that, I'm like, yo, Sierra's gonna bug out when he sees that. I know he was loving that.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't he? That's incredible. I'm sure he wished he could fly out here and take some pictures next to it. You know? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a amazing adventure, brother. And I just hope that the viewers can understand that that's what you get with the Clink Room, right? Like you're able to share and own somebody's imagination that's put into a cap, right? Because I don't think many people really think about that when they go to like a Lids or New Era. I think they just go off of colors and what fits the fit,
Yeah.
right? And I think with the Clink is more in depth. You know what I mean? You get to know the artist. Like if you want to know about the artist, you go to the clinkroom.com and it tells you, hey, so and so from so and so did this.
Yeah.
Follow him.
Yeah.
And I think that's an amazing thing. Another thing I wanted to hop into, you mentioned a lot of amazing designers, but how do you go about picking the designer you want to work with? How does that work for you?
Yeah, that's 4 years ago. I would, anybody who was interested, I would give them anything.
Yeah.
Like I was not picky. Now over the years, 4 years later, like there's so many designers I've worked with, probably 15 or more, 20. I don't even know, but
Yeah.
like I have my guys that I've been working with since day one that I love working with, like I said, Yacobo and Aurelian. But like my process now is the one thing I'm proud of is now looking at people's styles and how they do line work and how they do colors and how
Yeah.
they do scene work and maybe how they do animals. Like now, if I have an idea for an animal, or let's say it's an animal, I'll be like, oh, you know who? Raphael.
Okay.
He does animals really well. He's probably my guy. So now I know, like based on what's in my head,
Yeah.
who would probably bring that vision to life best after seeing their work for so many years.
Got you. Have you ever been put in a position where you kind of reach out to a designer and he's kind of like, hey, man, I don't want to talk to you. Leave me alone.
Not, I don't want to talk to me. Maybe not. I'm not interested in the design. I can't. That's not a good fit for me. I get that all the time.
Okay.
I just 2 days ago I sent one to a designer and he was like, I don't know, and that tells you right there, like if they're not just taking everything,
Yeah.
that tells you that they want to be part of their soul. They want
Okay.
to feel that. They have to feel what that design means to them as well. So if I give someone and say, hey, design me like a cobra or a snake, and some guy's like, I hate snakes, you know, like I
Yeah.
get that. It's got to be somebody who. So I've been told no many times, and we move on to the next one. We'll try something else, but no one's ever been rude about it.
But it never affects your thought process, right? Where you kind of like just get like bummed out and be like, all right, I'll just delete this idea and do a new one.
I'm sure that, like I told you, I've got that list with like 6 pages of things going. There
Yeah.
are some concepts now that I look at them that I've never shared with anybody that I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking? Like that is so irrational. Like that could never
Yeah.
be done. Like, so I've learned over the years what's possible and what's not. So, but I don't get bummed out about it. I'll just move on to a different designer. There's actually been designers who have said no to me on a certain design. Like they don't think it's a good fit for them. And I went to somebody else, they designed it and it's in the shop.
Yeah, because I could relate a little bit. Because as a muralist, there's certain muralists that I don't know,
Yeah.
but I see their work and I kind of feel like I know them.
Yeah.
So I kind of like relate to the work itself, not the artist. But then when it comes to like mingling with the artist or reaching out, sometimes it could not go as expected.
I think you talked to Omar about this. You're right. You get a little disappointed sometimes. Is that what
Yeah.
you mean? Yeah.
And it's kind of like I wonder if it's the same thing for a designer, because me as an artist, I could design, so I wouldn't necessarily reach out to a designer
Yeah.
unless we collab
Yeah.
as a friendly collab. So I just figured if it was the same or not, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying. I've had nothing but good experiences with Clink Room designers. There's never been anyone who's been rude. There's been some people who've just been like, no, it's not for me. And maybe we try again later, or that's kind of been it. But there's never been any, it's such an accepting community.
You know, and to get a little into that, New Era could also reject the design itself around the cap.
I've had problems.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about that process for anybody out there that might want to get some information? Like what causes New Era to reject the design?
If that was as black and white an answer, it would be so much easier. Because some of the shit that gets rejected will make you want to rip your hair out of your head. I did a design. I worked with a designer. Oh God, I think it was Page Perception. I hope I'm getting this right. On a circle, it's called Circle the Wagons.
Yeah.
I'm a Buffalo Bills fan.
Okay.
For football, and it's a saying for the Buffalo Bills franchise. The Buffalo Bills always circle the wagons. It's an old school Western thing where at night before bed,
Yeah.
at the campfire, to protect protect the people that were traveling in the wagons.
Yeah, yeah.
They would all sleep in the middle, and they would circle the wagons with their animals in the wagons to protect them from any intruders that were coming in at night.
Okay.
So that's where that came from. But like I worked with him on this. It was the wagons in a circle, and in the middle was a buffalo.
Yeah.
On 2 legs, kind of like just standing. And it was dope design. Casey loved it. It got into the shop, and it was it. We were done. We were done with production.
Yeah.
Everyone got paid out, and we thought that the hat was in production. And then we get an email from the Clink room saying, "Hey, New Era says no. This design's not going to work." And I was like, "But good thing I didn't give up," because I was like, "But why?" And they're like, they're like, "We think it's the buffalo. We're not really sure." I go, "Okay." Instead of just accepting it,
Yeah.
and losing all that time that the artist put in, and my time as well, I said, "What if I changed the buffalo out, different animal?" And then we swapped the animal out, and now it worked.
Oh,
So
wow.
there's been 1 or 2 times like that, but 9 times out of 10, if not more, you're gonna have if New Era rejects it, you're done. It's not gonna, unless you really change it and tweak something that was a problem for them. They're not gonna give it a second chance. And what the reason, my guess is the reason they rejected it,
Yeah.
is because the term "circle the wagons" is known for the Buffalo Bills in the NFL.
Okay.
But that's just a name. So the design looked nothing like the Buffalo Bills. So it was really frustrating. And to this day, I'm still confused. But we tweaked it, and it made it to the shop. So
Yeah, because I know I've asked around a lot. How come we don't have a spray can cap? Like a spray can cartoon.
Yeah.
And
we
everybody
don't. Clink doesn't.
Not to my knowledge.
I think you're right.
And I was told that New Era rejected, I think, 1 or 2 designs that went through for a can.
That's what I must be thinking about. So, but they didn't tell you why.
They didn't tell me why. So I'm wondering, like, why isn't New Era letting a spray can go through?
My guess is, and what the fuck do I know? And this is not fair.
Yeah.
But maybe they associate spray cans with graffiti and tagging.
Yeah.
And destroying property. But people like you make a living doing it, so it's not really fair. That's my only guess, but I have no idea.
I think you might be right. I think that's
what else could it be?
That could be a good way to look at it.
My understanding is, though, New Era does not tell the Clink room the reason, so they just reject it. And you're like, but why? So that's why we just took a chance and switched the animal out for the circle of the wagons, and it worked. But yeah, most of the time it's not just.
It's interesting though how like they could just be like, "Oh, we don't want this. Get out of here."
But that's it.
On to the next one.
Yeah, that's my understanding of how it works. If I'm wrong, Casey can correct me, but I don't think they get much of an explanation, which is frustrating. You know.
Another thing I want to get into is, are you kind of like into the cap community of today, like, or are you just kind of like just doing your own thing, putting out Clink room caps?
Yeah, I'm not. I cut back on. I haven't bought hats.
Yeah.
I had a problem I call it a problem. Some people would call it a good problem, but I call it a problem because I was buying hats every day, boxes coming in for like 2 years, to the point where I have no more space. I have disassociated myself with that community as much as I can.
Okay.
And no disrespect. I just know I can't control myself.
Yeah.
I have control issues when it comes to buying
Yeah.
hats. So
I'll start buying them.
Yeah, I stay away. Like, I got to tell myself, like, I should probably unfollow my fitteds on Instagram, but I don't. I'm still following them. But like, I've learned to just chill out. I got a 1-year-old at home now.
Yeah.
That's more important. Money's got to go towards that. So like, I'm not into the culture the way if this was 10 years ago, I'd probably be online outside of a store waiting for the drop. So I'm glad that I'm not anymore. Even Clink is probably pissed about this, but I don't buy nearly as many Clinks as I used to. I'll buy one here and there, like twice a year, but it's got to be an incredible design that I'm like, oh my God, that speaks to me. But outside of that, it's just my hats that I get delivered to me that I conceptualize.
You know, now that you bring up buying caps from the Clink row, the other day, for my brother's birthday, I purchased them 2 caps, right? And I think I paid anywhere from like $75 to $80
after shipping and tax.
After shipping and tax, and some people don't understand that. Like they try to tell me, like, bro, there's no way. Oh, that's the sticker on the bottom. It says 55. I'm like, yeah, bro, but you're not taking into consideration
tax and shipping. Think about dudes like Sierra who live in Canada and have to get that shipped over there. They're paying a lot more than we're paying. They're paying a lot more than we're paying.
They're probably paying like $1.20.
Ask him. I remember he mentioned it before. The numbers were like, what? That's not even fucking worth it. It was crazy. But like, the way I see it is this: like, if you have the money for it, do it. If you don't, like, think about it first. But like, it is a part of fashion, right? Your sneakers aren't cheap.
Yeah.
Your sneakers aren't $20. So yeah, hats are probably too expensive right now, and that's not Clink. That's like across the board. Clink's just keeping their prices with
Yeah.
with the rest of the world. But like, I, it's fashion now. You know, it's buying a shirt, it's buying shorts, it's buying a hat, it's buying shoes. They all go together now.
Yeah.
So I get that people complain about it. I get that the wives and the girlfriends are complaining about it. But it's like it's part of your outfit though. You know?
What advice would you give that young kid or young teen out there that wants to enter this cap world, but the financials not there? What advice would you give them to like
wait until the financials are there because you're gonna do some dumb shit. It's an addictive game to get into.
Yeah.
Like it is addictive. If you have self-control, you're fine.
Yeah.
If you don't, like I didn't for a while, you're gonna be in trouble, man, because they'll stack up and stack up and stack up. Those hats will just become, they're small. When you fold them up, they're small, but you got 25 of them and then 50 and then 100. And then people online are like posting pictures of where they store theirs and how many they have. And it gets competitive. It's like, my advice is that don't do it unless you can do it financially and if you have the space at your house.
Do you have a favorite storing unit that you go to, like when it comes to storing them?
Yeah, I have I forget how many gallons it is, but the Tupperwares with the wheels.
Yeah.
They're about that tall.
Okay.
They actually are perfect for fitted hats.
Yeah.
And I just stuff them, you know, one in front of the other, and you probably, I forget how many you get per Tupperware, but it's probably like 80 or so plus. And I have those. So I have them under my beds at home. And I have 7 and 4 in a closet. So 7 times 80 or 90, do the math. It's a lot.
It could get scary though, because imagine, God forbids, an emergency where like you have to leave the house and something bursts down or something.
All your hats are burning.
And all your hats.
How do you insure your hats? You know? When the insurance company's gonna be like, "What? You have $20,000 in hats?"
Yeah.
Okay. So no, I'm like I said, I'm trying to get rid of them, man. There's certain hats that I will never get rid of. Those are like the ones that I came up with the concepts for, and several others. But everything else is fair game at this point. I gotta get rid of it.
You know, something that I think would be cool somewhere down the road is kind of like an event, right, where you could just come out and meet all the Clink room designers.
I was just thinking about that the other day.
I think it would be fun.
The Clink community.
Yeah, I think it would be fun.
Casey, man, we got to get something going on here. We got to get a Clink con.
I got a studio big enough to fit at least 400 people. If you look outside, we can have a massive something out here. But
we'll meet up in San Diego. Let's do San Diego. Forget this. Let's go to San Diego. Nice little vacation.
Yeah.
Clink Con 2024. All the designers that can make it come out. Concepts guys come out, and we just talk hats, man.
That would be nice.
That'd be dope. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be a good idea.
Yeah. Right.
What can the Clink room community expect from you in the future?
Me, I got a couple things going on with them now that is really cool and that I'm like very excited about. I'm not going to talk about what it is.
Yeah.
But also, other than that, those two things aside, like, I'm constantly working. I'm constantly like working with other artists.
Yeah.
Who are working on my concepts, and we're working together on these concepts. And so, little by little, you'll start seeing them come out. Right now, there's 2 in the shop right now.
Yeah.
I think this is the last week for them. One more ride's called with Dopest Robot. She's incredible. And Volts with Aurelian. So more hats, one by one, dropping here and there. I'm excited for that, but I'm excited for these next couple of projects I'm working on with them as well.
And how does that work, bro? When you collab with the designer, because I know if you put in a hat by yourself, right? Like let's say for example, I submit a hat. I think like 10% royalty or something like that.
It's 10%.
So you guys go 5 and 5?
It depends on who you're working with and what deal you strike with them. It's different for everybody.
Okay.
Every concepts person kind of reaches out to their own people and they discuss that on their end. But yeah, it's 10% normally for a designer who just came up with the idea and did it themselves. So yeah, that's how that goes.
Sometimes I wonder, like, what's like their highest selling one? Because there has to be one that sold the most for them.
Yeah, I'll tell you a number. I just and it's different for everybody. Like some people's highest might be 100 sold. Some people might have 50.
Yeah,
I've had hats sell as low as 40, and I've had hats sell as high as 400 plus.
400 plus?
Yeah. Which I mean might not seem like a lot to some people, but they're $55 a piece. So
what design was that one?
That was my most recent with Aurelian.
Okay.
Rewound. It was the cassette tape. Sorry, it was a cassette tape. But he had a pencil in his.
Oh, I have it.
He was rewinding. He was because back in the day, you
guys did a royal blue one.
Yeah. No. It was black. It was black. No, you're talking about Tape Eaters.
Oh yeah, I have that one.
Tape Eaters is a classic. That's
I love that cat, bro.
That's one of my best-selling ones as well. But no, this one is like similar to Sierra's, and it's a cassette tape.
Yeah.
And he's got a pencil in his eye, and he's like twisting it.
Yeah.
And what it means, it's like rewound, saying like back in the day how a cassette tape would unwind
Okay.
and you had to rewind it up
Oh, yeah.
manually back in the day before
Yeah.
CDs, before
Yeah, yeah.
digital. So people, that hat really spoke to a lot of people. It sold really well. So
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Yeah, I've always wondered, like, how like, is there like number one top sellers? Because I know they have the caps that come out and they have the classic patch on the side, right?
Yeah.
I think I have one right here somewhere.
Yeah. No, there's some side patches. I don't see.
Like this one got a side patch.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. That's not the classic one though. But yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And I'm assuming that the classic ones are the ones that are like the ones that have sold the most.
That was, I don't know the answer to that, but I think you're right. I think it has to do with the ones that were like, because every 4 weeks,
Yeah.
Clink Room sends out the email saying, you know, today's the last day.
Yeah.
And here's our best seller for basically this 4 weeks. They call it a classic, right?
Yeah.
So I think you're right. I think those hats are the ones that eventually, when they do a colorway,
Yeah.
might end up with a side patch.
You know, some people didn't like the side patches off of what I seen on social media. They
In
were
Clink?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they were really it was like a 50-50.
Yeah.
What is your take on the side patches?
I do not dislike them.
Okay. I love them.
I like them, like the one right here with the seagulls. No fry is safe.
like we got
That's
this one right
crazy.
here,
I
the-
love that. Seeing it in person for the first time is crazy. I like them, but it depends. I guess my answer is it depends on the side patch.
Like this one too.
There's a
like,
classic. There's your classic right
this
there.
one, for anybody that wants to see, this one has a classic patch on the side.
Yeah. It depends on the side patch. Sometimes side patches I don't like. Sometimes I like them. That one I like. I like that one. So Clink Room has been very meticulous with choosing their side patches, and so far they've done good work with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've seen some people that were feeling some type of way about the patches, but
Yeah, some
me-
people are old school. They just don't want anything on their hat with the logo. Yeah.
if you could incorporate anything into the Clink Room, what would it be?
Incorporate?
As far as like idea or structure wise, or
Oh, I see what you're saying. I know that I know recently they just changed the crits to about 20 hats to vote on every
Yeah.
week. It used to be, I think, 10.
okay,
And that's, I think they went from 10 to 15 to 20, I think.
yeah,
So every Monday now, you're voting on 20 hats. I think I don't love that. I know why they're doing it. I feel like they're doing it because there's Clink Room is so big now and there's so many submissions.
yeah,
That's the best way to get to cycle through all of them. But I think it's tough for designers to be up against 19 other hats every week. Your odds obviously just
because out of 20, how many make it?
well, there's no clear cut answer. So it could be all 6 each week, or it could be 1, it could be 2. It could be, every week it's different.
Oh wow.
So Casey and the guys might sit down and say these 4, these 2, this 1. Sometimes it's a none. It depends on the week. It really
Have you
is.
had a chance to go down there to San Diego to the Clink warehouse?
No, I talked to Casey a while back. I want to,
Yeah.
and it was just a really quick conversation. I mean, we're only I'm only like an hour and a half from 2 hours from San Diego, so
How far is San Diego from Long Beach? Like 3 hours?
I'm not sure. For me, in out in the valley, it's about a little over 2, I think. So
Okay.
I want to get out there, and I will. But I want to shake his hand at least because I mean,
Yeah.
this guy gave me and so many other people an outlet to be creative. For someone who's not creative, like when it comes to the pen,
Yeah, yeah.
the pencil on the pad, I was able to be creative with my mind, and he and his team allowed that. So I just want to shake his hand, honestly.
Definitely, I feel you 100%. I seen those shoes that he did for Omar.
Yep.
Them things are
Those are
crazy.
incredible.
the clinkers.
Yep. You should start selling those. Those are great.
Those would
man.
be dope. I'll,
Yeah.
I'll grab a pair.
He would sell some. Yeah.
Before we get up and out of here, brother, is there anybody out there you want to give a shout out to?
Honestly, just every designer I've ever worked with to this point, because I want them to know that, like, I know how much time they put in. I know this is not a fast process.
Yeah.
I try not to rush them. Like, I take as much time as you need. Like, these guys work their asses off, and girls work their asses off. They put time in between family time, between their actual
Yeah.
jobs, between their own concepts they're working on to work with me. And man, I just want to say thank you to all the designers out there who do that, because without you, I'm just some guy with a bunch of ideas in his head who cannot bring them to life. And to the Clink Room for providing a platform for all of us. Thank you so much.
Man, you guys heard it from the man himself. Make sure to follow him on Instagram. You want to give him your handle?
It's at Layne B24, Layne B24.
And make sure to like and subscribe. Show us some love on YouTube. And drop a comment. Who do you want to see next on the chair? Who do you want to see next come on here and talk about caps? This is a podcast for you guys to enjoy, all cap collectors and people that just enjoy caps themselves, or maybe you want to get into dropping caps. So, follow us on social media. It's all love. I'm your host, Ronick. And we're out. Till next time.